What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel here, Planet Soccer on YouTube. Another hiatus, unfortunately. My fault, 100% this time. Shelby and I, my wife, have moved into a new house in Fort Worth, so we're settled. I counted, Dylan. This is my 7th location to record.
That's
Seventh
absurd. I
location.
have
Yeah.
my basement. I think like one or two in my kitchen, Disney World, and my office. So you got me
Yeah.
you got me beat by 3. So yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
impressive though. That's dedication. It's tough
it's
to
been a nomadic
bounce
lifestyle for
bounce
sure.
around, but sticking with it,
Yeah.
it.
We have been watching the games for sure, though. The Premier League is all jacked up on Mountain Dew right now. A little bit more than Mountain Dew, honestly. Hey, there you go. I didn't even see that, honest to God. We're going to talk about match week 16 today, recap it. I have a few buy or sells for Dylan at the end, but that's not going to be the gist of our episode anymore. We're just going to recap it, and then later in the weeks, we're going to review UCL and preview the upcoming EPL week. Dylan, there's only one place to start right now, and the headline that I have is Battered Spurs, Battered Eddie Howe's Battered Newcastle, and a battle of battered squads. The team with less injuries, I think, but equally as important, I think, to you guys, came out on top over the weekend and a pretty convincing victory. It's unfortunate for y'all because I think we played – you don't want to play like a good Tottenham Hotspur when your team is tired because we're going to run all over you. High line, lots of tempo. But even y'all's best players, you could tell their legs weren't under them, to kind of put it lightly. And you ran into a team that was ready to get back to winning ways, firing on all cylinders a lot of the way. Richarlison finally back to his best self. If that's, that was Richarlison at his best. We'll say it. And then Pap Sarr back, just his 7-foot legs running all over the pitch. You got a good Pedro Porro and Dejan Kulusevski that looked like prime Moussa Dembele. It all went right for Tottenham. All really went wrong for Newcastle until that Callum Wilson. It was Joe Linton.
Joe Linton
goal.
Who doesn't know how to not hit a ball
end.
at 150%, but
yeah, if Pierre-Emile Højbjerg hadn't have literally mixed up the jerseys, I don't think that goal would have happened. But alas, it did. Dylan, how has Europe affected you guys this year? That's what it comes down to, I think.
It hasn't. I'll argue. I don't really think it has. I firmly believe it is, because if you really look at how we've performed over the course of the season, it's more the road fixtures, I think, that have affected us more than.
Well, that was predictable. I think that was predictable.
But insanely.
Not to this extent, maybe.
We've now lost 3 straight on the road. I think we've lost as many on the road this year as we lost all of last year. We have as many losses overall this year as we had all of last year.
Really? In all competitions or Premier League?
Premier League. I really think it's for whatever reason we aren't as confident on the road. Not for whatever reason. I kind of get it. We're a highly aggressive, highly pressing team, feed off crowd energy, and you just don't necessarily have that the same on the road. Has Europe affected us? I'm sure it has, but I think road fixtures are my biggest concern. Injuries are my second concern, and injuries are slightly more concerning than fixture congestion, because I think with even semi-healthy squad, it's December 11th. Nobody in the Premier League is fully healthy. I would also argue nobody in the Premier League. Yes. Nobody in the league is as beat up as we are either, though. So I do think they kind of go hand in hand. I think if we weren't playing in Europe, our injuries would likely be more manageable. But I also think with less injuries, Europe would be more manageable. So it's kind of chicken or egg for me. Certainly Europe plays a part of it, but I think it's more an inability to play our style on the road and just laundry list of injuries. Before Callum and Elliot Anderson came back on the bench this week, I think you can make a really strong argument that our injured list could threaten for Europe with like a league average bench, but I think you really could make a strong argument that are
Yeah, maybe in the
injured
French league.
slash
Maybe in the French league.
suspended. I don't know. It was Callum Wilson up top, Harvey Barnes on the wing, Sandro Tonali, Elliot Anderson, Sven Botman, Nick Pope. Like it, laundry list of first team players on a top 8 Premier League side that have been out. So maybe some of those injuries are because of Europe. I think most of them are just kind of freak accident, freak run of play injuries, and
I
we've
think
just been kind of unlucky
you
at this
go.
point.
You went to PSG. You had home versus Man U, to Everton, to Spurs. That's a tough run of fixtures. I mean, Everton is playing out of their mind right now. So going to Everton after they got the points deduction, those fans were pissed and riled up and ready to go, and the
And
team too. And going to
and
PSG obviously to start that off.
Sean's one of the better managers in the league. Like I don't like saying it, but like he's a good manager
For the right team, absolutely.
Yeah.
For the right
I don't
team,
think
for
he could
sure.
do what Unai is doing at Villa, but like he is a
Well, it's similar
perfect
to Unai
Everton
at
manager.
Arsenal versus Unai at Villa. I
Mm-hmm.
think if Sean Dyche is at Tottenham, it's like Unai Emery at Arsenal. But
Yeah.
Everton, I'm not saying Everton's going to challenge for the league next year like Unai Emery's putting together so far this year. But yeah, we'll talk about Everton here in a sec. I think some things that just stick out to me in this one. The main thing is Sonny kind of bullied his former friend or former teammate, so probably current friend, Kieran Trippier. Trippier needed a break. He's going to get one next week because of the yellow card accumulation, which we can talk about the yellow card accumulation later. I think it needs to be more yellows in the same amount of games, or go ahead.
So I got thoughts on Trippier in general.
Yeah.
He's been clearly at fault for 2 for sure, probably 3 goals in the last 2
You
matches.
thought Kieran Trippier was throwing the Everton game.
I mean, that was as I said in that tweet, like I don't want to be this guy, but like this seems unrealistic. Yeah. And then he comes back and has equal stinker against Spurs, and like I do just think he's knackered right now. He's exhausted, completely valid to be exhausted. But I kind of have like a bit of a dilemma here. Is it on Howe or is it on Trippier? Like I love Trippier, his competitive edge, his drive, his desire to be successful at every level he's at. So I saw a lot of people just bashing Eddie Howe. Why has Trippier not been sat? I think it could easily just be Trippier can't be sat. Like
I mean, that's a thing. Like players won't sit.
You came in as the first guy to trust in this project, and maybe that was an unwritten part of the contract. Like I'm not riding the bench ever. Like you will play me until my wheels fall off. Or is it Eddie has no faith in Lewis Hall playing left back and Livramento filling in for Trippier at right back? I don't know. I've seen a lot of speculation that Lewis Hall's not getting playing time because there's an obligation to buy. Maybe he's not performing in training.
Minutes or something.
Yeah, nobody knows what the obligation is in the Twitter sphere, but it was clear it was alone with an obligation to buy. Normally it's performance based, minutes based. So is it that Eddie just doesn't want Lewis Hall long term and wants to send him back to Chelsea, or is it that Trippier refuses to sit? I don't know what it is, but whatever the reason is, like he's looked gassed to say the least. Like Sonny,
and he's not young. He's not a spry.
He's 33. Sonny completely made him his bitch. He didn't look good, and Everton had a very unforgivable blunder in both matches. So I think that is a concern going forward. He does tend to show up at home in big matches, so I'm not necessarily worried about Wednesday against Milan with him. But I do think getting a break against a required break against Fulham might be in his best interest, in the league's best interest. Yeah. But overall, the biggest thing for me from our match was letting Richarlison score his first goals as a Tottenham player with his feet, and not once but twice. And as many of you know, he is by far my least favorite player in the whole world of football. And we also just happened to lose to my least favorite club in all of football in the same week. So it's been tough. It's been tough.
Don't make me put the tweets up saying what you would do if you came to England with me for a game.
Oh, I would become a
If you,
Spurs fan if y'all were playing. I would be the loudest person in the stadium if y'all were playing Everton, Chelsea, or Man U because I
Man,
just
you.
despise all three of them. But yeah, it was a really rough week in the Prem for Newcastle, especially for me and some of my Twitter friends who equally hate Everton and Richie. But it is what it is. We still have Champions League, and you guys don't. So, and we didn't lose to you guys
Fair
as
enough.
bad on the road as you lost to us last year on the road. So still got that
I
badge
was
of
thinking
honor.
about that during the game. I wanted to
Oh, I
get to that thought, but
100% was. I was like, this is going to end up 5-0, and I'm just not
yeah,
going to hear the end of it. But alas, 4-1.
it could have if Brendan Johnson's shot that literally like hit the inside of the bar went in, which
That
like
was the
physics went
wild.
out the
Yeah,
window.
yeah, that was wild. That was wild.
Yeah. Speaking of your favorite teams, let's talk about Everton. Give them their flowers. Even after the points deduction, Everton looking safely out of the relegation zone. They haven't lost in a while. God, I meant to put it on the slide. I think it like November 5th or something like that was the last time they lost. Longest winning streak in the league, joint with, or I'm sorry, longest non-loss streak in the league. No, winning streak in the league. I'm an idiot.
Winning.
Yeah, and we both saw this on Twitter. It kind of relates to Chelsea, who they played this weekend and beat 2-0. Chelsea have gathered the least amount of Premier League points this year out of any team that hasn't been relegated. I think they were tied with like Palace and somebody else maybe, but it's been a bad 2023 for Chelsea. And just when
Right
you think
now,
it's starting to get better, it's not.
right now, I need to hit you with a buy or sell. Buy or sell, you'd
Okay.
rather be an Everton fan with a 10-point deduction than you would be a Chelsea fan. Like just club overview, 1,000 miles up, whatever that saying is.
So like
bird's eye view.
just looking today forward. God, I don't know. Probably Chelsea, honestly. There's just too much money there.
But who knows? Who knows
your point
when
is warranted?
Who knows when their FFP comes in? Like if
Yeah.
I mean, we all know it's coming. We no, it has to be coming. If Everton's getting knocked with 10 points, Chelsea should get knocked with 20. Like it is coming. Yes, I understand.
They're begging for it to come this year. It's got to come this year for Chelsea.
The deduction,
right? Yeah, I mean, if you're a Chelsea fan, you want it to come this year as
Do
opposed
you?
to. I mean, they're not going to get relegated. Surely not.
I mean,
they're sitting on 19 points, so that would make.
So if you swap the point deduction, if you give Everton 10 points and you take 10 points away from Chelsea, Chelsea's sitting in the relegation zone and Everton's not, obviously. But like if you take 10 points from
10th.
Right, and Chelsea right now without a point deduction is sitting 12th.
Yeah.
Like yes, there's money to be spent there at Chelsea, but like the deduction's coming. Just like at some point it's coming for City. Like it's documented. Like the math doesn't lie. I just think those two instances are much more complex. They obviously have a better lawyer team because they have so much money, but like it's coming for Chelsea. Like I despise Everton with every ounce of my being. But taking all of that away, I would rather be an Everton fan right now. I think they have a brighter outlook, which is crazy because 2 months ago I was like Everton could do the double drop. Like it's fully possible because we knew the deduction was coming. They were looking absolutely miserable, and now they've won 4 of their last 5. They've beaten multiple very high level clubs. Like they look good. Sean Dyche,
West Ham,
phenomenal.
Newcastle, Man U.
Like yes, West Ham and Man U aren't like what they should be this year, but like Man U's still sitting in 6th with 9 losses or whatever the hell they're at. That's a whole nother topic, but like I think there's a lot to be excited about at Everton. Calvert-Lewin coming back was obviously key. They needed goal scoring in a bad way. But yeah, it is kind of crazy when you look at the goal differential. You see Man United -3 goal differential sitting in 6th. Everton even goal differential sitting in 17th. Like Everton's obviously outside of the deduction.
You guys
they're really not a bad
sitting right behind Man U.
Yeah. Thanks. Well, that's heavily inflated by 8 goals away at Sheffield. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think Everton's in a really good spot. It is kind of an interesting thought of would you rather be an Everton
It's also
fan
in the
who's
back of my
already
mind, like
gotten.
Chelsea's won the Champions League in the
Oh
past
yeah, yeah, no, no,
3
no. But
years.
I'm saying like
But
here
looking
forward.
just looking
Yeah, here
forward,
forward.
it's tough. It's tough. Yeah.
It is tough.
Yeah, I don't know. Villa, could they? Could they?
Could they finish
Your
second?
second place is looking.
Could they
your
finish
second place
second?
is looking pretty good.
They could finish second. They absolutely could finish.
I really do. I really think. Well, second, maybe yes, they could absolutely finish second. I think it's going to end up being
I think they get
Liverpool and
third.
City in the top two. But looking at their 1-0 win versus Arsenal, speaking of, I mean, Villa's the flavor of the month, if we want to throw a little cliche in it. They've had a fantastic December so far.
They drew Bournemouth, but yeah. They also beat City and Arsenal. So
that's what I was thinking. Beating City and Arsenal is pretty impressive. Was the Bournemouth game in between those two?
No. City was midweek. City was Wednesday, and then on Saturday they go ahead and beat Arsenal. Both were at home. You got to throw the caveat in because they're almost as polarizing home and away as Newcastle is. Newcastle is by far the most polarizing.
Man City at home. Villa's Man City at home and like Brentford on the road, in my mind.
That's better than Newcastle. Newcastle is City at home and Sheffield on the road. Like it's terrible. So I'd rather be Villa if that's the comparison we're drawing. But yeah, I mean they did go on the road though and beat Spurs a little over, or not a little over a month ago, almost a month ago now, end of November. Then they win their Europa League game, draw Bournemouth in the middle there, kind of not great. But then you beat City and Arsenal at home. I don't care where it is. You beat City on Wednesday and Arsenal on Saturday. I don't care if you're playing on the moon. That's incredibly impressive. And I think Unai Emery is, I don't want to say the best manager in the league because we all know it's Pep, but I mean Unai is done them. If there's a manager of the year like contest right now, I would by far give it up to Unai over Pep. Not that I think Unai's a better manager, but Unai has had incredible.
He's had a substandard year for his standards, which is kind of how you have to measure that, you know.
Exactly.
So I think with Villa and Arsenal, looking at these two teams, and I texted this to you, I think Villa, especially if they're at home, they're going to beat like the big teams. I think they're set up, maybe not always, but they're better to set up to beat the big teams. Whereas Arsenal's always going to get that 84th minute winner versus the lower teams. And this is purely based off of recency bias and just kind of what I've convinced myself of. But Arsenal just always seems to pull it out against Luton or Sheffield or somebody last minute. And Villa loses those games, but they also beat City and Arsenal in the same week. So I don't know. Villa, it'll be interesting to see. They will get hit with injuries eventually. Hopefully it's not to double. Go ahead, Dylan.
I'm really interested to see that Boxing Day matchup. They got United on the road. We all know United is the most up and down team of the season, but they're still sitting in sixth.
That has McTominay brace written all over.
They're still sitting in sixth. It's at Old Trafford, so like that's an extremely compelling matchup. If they're able to take, let's say 4 points against Brentford and Sheffield next week, and then they're also able to go in and beat Man United on the road, I think they're absolutely a title contender. Now, if they only take 3 points out of the next two and draw at Man United, I think obviously we need to pump the brakes, but I think there's a really real chance they take at minimum 4 points against Brentford and Sheffield, and also then beat Man United. So I think they're firmly in the race. I haven't dove deep into their end of the season. It can't be as difficult as the end of Spurs season, but that could definitely play a factor. The end of your schedule is
hell.
Ugly. Like I don't know how they do that to a team. If it's anything easier than yours, though, I think they're definitely at least going to be in the conversation for sure.
Yeah, the Opta supercomputer has them the favorites for fourth right now, 41% chance, 22.9% chance for third. So
So they
third and
go
fourth.
Liverpool, City, Arsenal, Villa. Is that where they're at right now?
No, they go City, Liverpool,
City
Arsenal,
still.
Villa. Yeah, 47.8 to 31% is next highest, and that's
They
Liverpool.
almost give City a 50% chance. They're 4 points back and have looked terrible the last 5, while
I don't know if
Liverpool's
that's
looked.
yeah, that adds up to 100%. Those four, because they only give Villa, City, Arsenal, and Liverpool even a chance, and that adds up. Yeah, so I guess it is a percentage.
Yeah, so they almost give a 50-50 chance on City winning the
It's also a
league.
computer, so it's not like
Well, yeah,
humans.
but
Yeah,
still, like just on the math, just of recency bias, because computers have to, I would assume, in this algorithm, play in like
you would think so.
current form, and City has not. They have 1 win in their last 5.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Liverpool has 1 non-win in their last 5, and it was a draw. And same with Arsenal has a loss, and Villa's got a draw in there too. Like that seems
Villa's
wild,
season
but
so far feels so similar to y'all's start through December last year. Like eerily similar to y'all's start.
so they'll finish in Europe at least. I'll feel
So
like personally proud if they just finish 4th or better. Like second
yeah,
was always a little bit of a stretch, but if they can just finish in a secured Europe spot, I'll be pretty proud
I
of
think you're going to end
I'll
up
be pretty proud of myself.
prouder than you are not of that prediction at the end
Yeah.
of the season. Let's talk about City just for a hot second, and this is more so just about the greatness of the Premier League. City went and played in some guy's backyard over the weekend against
Literally.
a team with like a 12th of the payroll of them, maybe even less,
Yeah.
and they had to get 2 second half goals to come out on top. And I mean, yes, La Liga. We talked about their excellence in Europe and Italy earlier, and then earlier in the 2000s they dominated Europe, and Bayern obviously does Bayern things, but just the grudge match, or the sludge of the Premier League season is unbelievable. You look at American sports, the NFL. I mean, you've got teams like, I don't know, the Panthers, so you just know you're going to go in and beat, or MLB, you've got teams that tank for picks, or especially NBA too. You've got teams that tank for picks,
Go Pistons.
but a lot of it goes to promotion relegation. Like in soccer, and specifically in the Premier League, the quality is just so high, and especially when you're playing a team on the road, like City, the European champions, they go play in some guy's backyard in Luton. And it's a dogfight, man. It's fun to watch. We were texting over the weekend, like even in a 4-1 win for Spurs, like that was an entertaining match. Like for a neutral observer, mainly watching the way Spurs played, but
Yeah.
even in a 4-1, in a Fulham 5-0 win versus West Ham, like I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched snippets of it, but Fulham's just, they were like kind of physically dominant in the box. But like it's a fun game to watch. All the Premier League games are fun to watch. And it's a top league, and it's a real black eye for, like you said, the people who are in the soccer's boring crowd. So
Yeah.
fun game to watch over the weekend.
Sucks to be in that realm.
Yeah,
Real quick, I gotta throw my heart out to Luton, man. That sucks. Like you
yeah.
get Arsenal and City same week, pretty much the reverse Villa, and you're up on both of them. Like you should have taken
Yeah.
points. Arguably, the City won.
You were
City
up so much, you made Arsenal's head coach get a yellow card for
for
running on the field too
celebrating,
much,
right?
celebrating. Like that's how close you were.
And like that's just what, like that would like you said, that would never happen in the NFL. That's like the
No.
Cowboys going into the Panthers and Mike McCarthy like running around with his shirt off after they score a game-winning like that. Like Arteta didn't take his shirt off, but like it's that level of like closeness in the Prem,
Craziness.
and just
Yeah.
the fact that they are a almost guaranteed lock at relegation, and everybody has been saying that all year, and they were still able to take everybody's preseason 1-2 favorite to the wire. Is pretty impressive. To come out with
It
0
is.
points,
Yeah.
while Everton comes out with 6 from those same 2 match days is really tough. Not only for them,
It is. Yeah.
but for me.
I will be watching them in the championship next season. I hope to see them back in the Premier
I said the
League
same
'cause it's
about Leeds, and I've probably caught like 90 minutes total of Leeds this year. So we'll see if you actually go out of
well,
your way to
the
watch
Americans are
Luton.
gone, so you have no reason to
Yeah,
watch Leeds
that's fair.
anymore.
That's fair. That's fair.
Let's move on to our weekly winners. We've already talked about Villa and Everton. Let's give some flowers again to another team, Fulham, back-to-back 5-0 wins. Holy, I mean, Fulham doesn't scare me personally, especially Christian Romero's playing. Like, we have that physicality in the box,
Mm-hmm.
a little more than physicality in the box. But like for teams that don't have real like strong defenders, Fulham's going to manhandle you. I mean, they just even Mitrovic less Mullins, Mitrovic less Fulham is going to manhandle you, and they're just that perfect ninth place team, man. I think they're sitting 10th right now, but I think they finish ahead of West Ham, and it's not a fun team to watch. They have a fun midfield.
It is not a
but
fun team to watch.
Yeah, true.
If they didn't have I like it. I again I didn't watch any, like you said. I just watched snippets of honestly both 5-0s. But when I have set aside time to watch film, because I wanted to, they got Tim Ream and Jedi. Like there's American intrigue
Yeah.
there. I'm not saying if you're an American trying to get into the game, you shouldn't watch them. But by no means is it the most exciting brand of soccer. It is the old NFC North, black and blue division version of soccer. Like it's gritty, it's not pretty, but it gets the job done on a good day. I will say though, Jedi has looked phenomenal the last 5 matches. He has been on top of his game. Tim Ream has looked good too. I hate how old he is because he's probably never seeing an important cap again. Well, all right, that's not true. He'll get a cap.
USMNT 2030 head coach Tim Ream.
Oh yes, inject that into my veins right now. Get this on the record. We need to sign him. He'll probably play in Copa for us, but he'll never probably see another World Cup start. But they both been phenomenal. So yeah, I wouldn't not recommend watching Fulham, but they are not the most exciting brand of football. Even though they're back-to-back 5-0 wins, it feels crazy to say that, but like it's just not the most exciting brand, but it is a quality brand if you do sit down and watch.
I appreciate João Palhinha, and I know he's going to go for a lot of money somewhere.
Too much.
But I hate that guy.
Too much. He's going to get overpaid. He's going to get overpaid somewhere in the Prem.
I can't stand playing him. I almost can't stand him as much as I hate playing Matty Cash. They're almost on equal terms. And Matty Cash has knocked 2 Spurs players out for multiple months.
Nasty
2 out of the last 4 times we played them.
Nasty tackles.
Bad tackles. So another winner, Tottenham's confidence. It was a battered Newcastle, but we needed that win. So it's not like we've looked terrible in the past few games, just haven't kept leads, and it's been frustrating. So to get a lead and then add on to it was really good. And then Bournemouth. I mean, what happens when you back a new manager? Like when you go all in, and they can't really go all in, but you know what I mean. For Bournemouth, you bring a new manager in. We didn't think it was the right decision.
No.
Nobody thought it was the right decision. It was a terrible decision at the time.
I still don't know if it's the right decision, but it's working.
Yeah, I mean, Bournemouth sitting 14th. I think that's kind of where we both had them finishing. I think we were a few spots apart, but take like the average, maybe.
Yeah,
Bournemouth was 14th. So, I mean, good for them. They were a lock for relegation last year until they weren't. Now they're a mid-table club. Maybe not mid-table, but they're flirting with mid-table. So yeah, I mean, and they're dead. Solanke, he's a deadly in the air guy. He's like the new Mitrovic in the Premier League.
I mean, it's been 36, 37 days since they lost. I mean, they got battered by City, and then they beat us.
Yeah.
They
can play football.
They beat us. They beat Sheffield. They beat Crystal Palace. They beat United. Like that.
Yeah.
That's a pretty impressive run of games for a team that was recently, relatively speaking, promoted and fired a manager that we all thought they were insane for doing. So yeah, kudos to them.
Yeah.
Eddie Howe's old club.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the losers. And we're back to the basics here, Dylan. Chelsea, Man U.
I don't see Newcastle on there for some reason because we're
Well, you guys are.
we're the losers of the losers right now. It's ugly
Yeah, I
for
mean,
us.
you guys are. I'm giving you a pass because you are so beat up. I think this is the rock bottom of y'all season.
I agree.
But
I firmly
but this
agree.
is just another week for Chelsea and Man United. Man United losing to the Bournemouth team that we just mentioned. That's much better than the casual soccer fan would look at Bournemouth and think they are. But Chelsea losing to Everton. I mean, come on, man. Like
Chelsea's cooked.
you're
They're
you're
cooked.
Chelsea. You got to beat Everton.
Like
No,
the
they are
fact that
cooked. They're cooked.
the fact that we went
If they didn't have Cole Palmer, where would they be right now? If they didn't have Cole
a
Palmer?
month ago, we were sitting on back to back very nice performances from Chelsea. I think I was even of the belief that like, oh, they're turning that corner. I mean, they beat y'all.
Was
in
our game one of those
the
performances?
first. It was a weird, wild game, but like came regardless of what happens, came out 4-1 over Spurs.
Yeah.
Who at that point, that was pre-Madison injury or just after?
Yeah, that was the game he got hurt.
That's right. Oh, that's right.
And
then yeah. So like that was kind of the start of.
They got hurt on like 2 plays apart too,
Yeah.
like within 3 minutes of each
and then you back that up the next week with a insane 4-4 draw against City, and City at that time was still sitting first on the table.
Wild game.
I was like, all right, like Chelsea's finally turning a corner. It was bound to happen. They have so much talent. Then they get spanked by Newcastle. They get lucky to beat Brighton. Then they lose convincingly, only 2-1.
Not healthy Newcastle. Y'all were not healthy.
Not healthy at all. They lose convincingly, only in a 1-goal game, but convincingly lose to a United side that has been so polarizing all year. And then you lose to Everton 2-0. Like they're in shambles, man. It's kind of crazy. Just like we talked about the roller coaster of United season. The drops on Chelsea season seem very much more severe to me. I think they're in a whole heap of trouble, especially once those financial fair plays come into effect. It's crazy that when we drew Chelsea, I'm like in the EFL quarterfinal. Yeah, EFL quarterfinal. I was like, oh my God, we got to play another top Big Six club in this cup. But now I'm like, God, give me Chelsea. I want to play Chelsea so bad right now. We need to play Chelsea, and because they've just looked so bad. They're in a rough spot without Cole Palmer. You're right. I would not know. I would not know where they'd be because he's been fantastic. Really, really interesting, weird story about his relationship with Pep and getting sold. Super unique situation there, but it's worked out well for Chelsea because without him, who knows where they'd be.
Who knows? I'm going to finish this off with one buy or sell, Dylan, and it's looking to the future next year. I'm looking at the championship table right now. Let's say you have Leicester and Leeds come up as the 1 and 2 automatic, and then you get Sunderland win the playoff.
Yeah, right. Good one.
They're in 6th, and hey, if you look at their expected points, they should be third. Hold on, buy or sell. If those 3 teams come up, that would be the most fun Premier League season that you or I have ever watched.
Leicester, Leeds, Sunderland up, Luton. Who goes down in this? We're guessing
Sheffield and
Burnley. That sucks, but
Burnley down.
Yeah, because then Everton's still there for me to hate. Yeah, no, I buy the shit out of that. You get big clubs coming back. We get 2 Tyne-Ware derbies. I still get to hate on Everton. I get Leeds back. Maybe Aronson comes back at some point. Like even without Aronson, I've always kind of somewhat oddly liked Leeds. Leicester is not a hateable club. Yeah, no, I buy that.
I think those are 3 teams that come up, and for the first time in 3 years, you don't automatically go, they're the favorites for relegation.
Other than Sunderland, because Sunderland's absolute garbage. But yeah, like there are the
other. From a neutral perspective, I don't think Sunderland is garbage. I think they have all the capabilities of being like Bournemouth has been and staying up. Jack Clark has been unbelievable for them this year.
Now they got Bellingham's brother. Yeah, I'm so excited.
I think if you guys get like your true rival in the Prem, even though they'd be a newly promoted team, that'd be really good for the Premier League.
It'd be really good for us too. Like we need that. Like honestly, We try and like we hate Everton. Everton for whatever reason also hates us. Like we try and build that rivalry there. The Arsenal thing is newly developing into a rivalry.
I haven't seen that.
Just because
I'll take your word for
because
it,
of
though.
Arteta mainly and all of the things that have surrounded.
What?
We kept them
No
out of the
surprise
Champions
there.
League, and then the game this year, like Arsenal
Shout out.
Arsenal now despises us. For whatever reason, a bunch of
So it's more on the field stuff than like
yeah. So like, but like
intangibles.
that's what I'm saying. Like we're having to like grasp at rivals. So yeah,
Yeah.
if we could actually get like a Northeast rival, 20-minute drive away,
Y'all need
that would be
Sunderland
awesome.
to come in and be like a Crystal Palace for like 10 years in the Premier
I don't want them to be that good. I'd rather them be like a Forest, like just like
That's okay.
kind of hang around,
Or like an Everton. Be like an Everton.
Yeah,
Everton of
yeah.
last
Like
2 years.
I wish no success on Sunderland, but it would be good for Newcastle if we actually had like a true rival in the Prem. It would make things a lot more fun.
Confession time. Whenever I start a career on
No,
FIFA,
don't say it.
I always start at Sunderland.
No.
Always. We're gonna leave you guys with that. Thank you so much for watching this edition of the Planet Soccer Show here on YouTube. I don't know if Dylan's gonna come back or not. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all of the above. We will talk to y'all later this week. Go Sunderland. Up the whatever they are.
What are we doing? Why? Why are we doing this? No, never.
Thanks for watching, guys. We will talk to y'all later this week. Dylan's going to edit this one, so any complaints, send them his way. Talk to y'all later.